Hello there, thanks for joining us. The worst female shape I have ever met as a fitness coach. I'm here with Leo. Hello, Leo.
Hello, Mayor Cyril. Thank you for welcoming me on another edition of Blending Fitness Environment with Other Real Life Environment. As you already know, I always have questions for you every day as the day comes by. So, beginning with our first question, I will start by asking you, do you think there is such a thing? Do you think there is anything like a worst physique for female or for women?
For my over 10 years experience working with female, I have not come across something as we call worse. But I have come across people who have a problem with how they feel about themselves. A woman who walks into a room with her head up is, of course, different with a woman who is trying to catch up with the standard of the room. And that is where the problem always lies.
Okay, the problem always lies with the women who always walk into the room and try to look down or not looking or not engaging with the people in the room. This takes us to our next question. What factor do you think make the body unhealthy or look rather than unattractive?
Well, we started talking about stomach, for example. When a stomach is poorly composed, meaning it's having sedimentation, remains of foods, of drinks, maybe air is is uncomfortable for the person at the level of the dynamics, the way they go about the activity. So it is that discomfort that might be termed as a big stomach. Without which muscles, when some people see a woman with muscles, their interpretation could be like, oh, this woman is scary. But another person will interpret that as being a powerful lady. Some other will say somebody was very thin, and say, oof, you are too thin, you are skeleton. But other people will call that athleticism structure. So from the end, if you are to allow people rate your body structure, their interpretation will vary. It's all about how you feel in that particular body. For example, I have come across women that though they were slim, their reactivity was slow. They couldn't run fast. They couldn't endure reps, cardio reps. And it is until that moment that I could say their body composition is not the best. They will need to work longer period of time so that they switch their habit because and a habit that has poorly been fit will fail you in situation of urgency. So it's reminding those who are slow, who are weak, who cannot endure to the end, that they need to fit their habit with promptness, with energy, so that the body can react in case of urgency. And that is where the meaning of structure has its full potential, helping people to access a structure that can be flexible in case of urgency, that can build habits that are authoritative, that are violent, that are proactive. This thing, we like to assume ourselves as bad boys, as confident people, but our walls crumbles when we come across challenges like a girl affirming herself when she meets other girls who have better self-mastery or self-confidence. So a girl will only feel challenged in the presence of another girl who is better than her.
Okay. The girl will always feel challenged in the presence of another girl who is better than her. You earlier made mention of something that caught my attention. And this thing is, you said people have their own opinions on how they see people or on how they see.
They appreciate
Yes.
female structure or shape.
Yes, which takes me to my next question. Do you think the society or social media creates an unrealistic standard for the physical shape?
Of course, everyday lives are being claimed. People are draining into depression. Women are leaving their home. Men are chasing side chick. People are taking their life because they feel inferior. So it starts from admiring what other people have without considering their own challenge. Generally, seeing a girl who is slim with a good chest, a good glutes, will naturally appear as if everything about her is fine. Until you see men who leave those girls for those who might be having big stomach and maybe flat buttocks or flat chest, and you start understanding that the dynamics can change. At the end of the day, we undermine sometimes our confidence. We think that confidence is just by wishes, but no, confidence needs to be furnished, garnished, just like you garnish your strength. If you go and do push up every day, you run for long distances, you endure cardio reps, aerobic, anaerobic activities, all that is to be able to have a promptness, assurance, certainty to come closer to reality, reactivity. But now, another person who sits and observes will rather assume that he or she is confident, will rather assume that he or she can be prompt in case of emergency. Until the emergency occur, then he or she discovers that he has some delay. And that delay now is what causes depression. When you move to your maybe in a party, your friends are approached and not you, the interpretation is what causes depression. Another person who have been trying so many reps will say that, okay, I couldn't succeed this time, but there's another rep coming. But the person who has not been used to trying over and over will say, oh, this is the last chance. And that is where depression. So the reaction to socialization is what distinguishes a perfect body structure to another. The structure finally is the mind. How is the mind in a thin body framed? How is the mind in a loaded body framed? Because at the end of the day, awareness will consolidate both extremes and make them improve on daily. The most sexiest and attractive part of a person, especially female, is to know that they are working on themselves consciously on daily basis. They are improving, and it is the effort that seduces and causes the man to last. You see, most women are approached for the first time, and after they lost interest in them because they are not proven to be living in their body. They are strangers in their body. They are trying to adapt with a standard that has not been fit. They don't have the strength to maintain the charisma that they portray. Picture it like a woman who borrows a hair, artificial hair, and wear for an event, and you get attracted to her. Then the first time she removed the hair, you drop your level of interest. The second time she refund the hair to the owner, you drop again your interest. That's what happened with a person, a woman, being slim or fat, who assume he or she has self-confidence until she meets competitors that reset her back to her initial level. The resetting is automatic. Inferiority complex sets in when she look around and imagine what other people can do and not her. It automatically make her clumsy. And that clumsiness, it is what switches her off. It is what dims her potential and make her non-attractive. So we cannot fake muscles. So we cannot fake confidence. Confidence, just like muscles, shape just like the mind. When you see what is assumed to be the perfect shape of a woman, an S shape, it is filled with a lot of hours of workout. It is filled with discipline in in what they eat, what they drink. It is filled with discipline in when they sleep, when they're energized. It is filled with discipline on what they read to inform themselves. So it is all this package that intimidates a woman who is oversized, whose body is poorly composed, who is too thin, who start looking at another person and assuming what the person is going through to maintain that standard. Just like some other time we'll come to talk about dress code for men, and you will understand why some dress code intimidate more than others. People imagine what it takes to maintain, for maintenance of that particular dress code over some time. Same thing like having abs, a man who have abs and another. We shall come back to talk what women think about those. Today we are talking about what men think about women shape.
Okay. So picking an important point from what you have just said is that confidence and the height mindset is not just built on assumptions, but it is built over time, which takes us to our next question. What role does lifestyle play in people that judges physique?
Well, the judgment of physique is the nature of human being. From personal experience, one can judge another person experience, another person appearance. If I'm slim and I know the sacrifices that I do to keep fit, and when I see somebody with a big stomach, I will understand that the person refuses to do the sacrifices. And the question now is it more easy to discipline myself, or is it more easy to give in into what comes my way? So the most difficult is respected more than the easiest. So that's where we talk of standards. People regard on structure is a standard, is a way to standardize socialization. And even if God has made up to be equal, women rank men appearance just as men rank female beauty. And so it's easy for guys to see a perfect shaped woman, what could be slim, confident, well dressed, well make up, everything neat, as a disciplined person. And so respect more the husband or even more the girl. By rider will not stop a certain class of woman because he thinks that to maintain such a woman is higher than him. So the judgment on lifestyle is equally based on socialization intention. People with relative low standards will not afford a certain class. It helps them to know their target, to know their level. And so while women are always chasing for the lion, chasing for the bigger profile, they have difficulty as well to maintain. Because what if the appearance was fake, the confidence was fake, and you attracted finally a lion, and the lion discovered that you have not funded your standard, you don't have confidence. So the next thing is that they will switch to what actually have the confidence, and there are women who have confidence.
That takes me to the next question. You earlier made mention of a statement that bike riders, which are normal, which are somehow considered to be low class people, find it difficult approaching women of higher classes because they think they cannot afford such a lifestyle of the high class woman. So, how should someone respond if they feel they are being judged negatively? Say for
No, we are talking about women. If a woman feels that she is poorly judged by her structure, she just have to walk. If not, she might get depressed and isolated. If this is real, if your friends don't have interest to be beside you, you will feel alone and you'll be checking on people's status. And if you have 5 friends that are more smarter than you might struggle to catch up with them. And if they are too fast, you will give up. And that's depression. So it pushes one on pressure. But how should you interpret? It's just like little drop of water every day can create a river. Start working on what you think will improve your confidence. If your confidence is looking like others, then work to be like them. Everything is just a measure of what you are looking up to. If being in good shape means looking like your friend, then work to be like them. Don't assume or don't pretend that you don't like the way they are. Pretending is what brings depression and isolation.
all right, thank you very much for your
It's always a pleasure. Until we meet again, take care of yourself. Ciao, bye bye.